Man. All right. Sorry. I'm not great at this. Not good at the technology. It looks like we had a lot of people in the other one. So trying to figure out how. Okay. Oh, yeah. So hang on. We got the different camera. So hang on a second, everybody. Okay. Yeah, I got way too much going on here. So good afternoon. What's happening? I hope everybody puts those questions back up because I saw like multiple comments, multiple questions, people talking about Delano's. Sorry, I thought I had it figured out. Scheduling a live session, I thought I could just go back in and click on it, and I couldn't, unfortunately. So that's one of those things I need to do a little bit more due diligence on and get it figured out a little bit more. So I'm actually using a different camera too, and I think I liked the computer camera a little bit better. So yeah, it's certainly chilly today. I'm peeking outside the window behind me, and it is super, super cold. So figured it was a great time to do this. I was trying to get Rob on board, but he is very busy and he's actually doing something really cool. He's so busy and he's so into it that he's not sharing pictures of it on his Instagram, but he's actually painting a recumbent bike, I believe it is, for an adaptive athlete who's going to the Olympics in Tokyo. So it's a very cool thing, and I'm hoping he shares some pictures of the bike pretty soon because I saw it and it was cool. So it's pretty rad that he has the ability to do that. He's actually painted quite a few bikes, and you're starting to see that a lot more. He painted 5 or 6 for Pivot, actually, for the World Champs. So to see him paint these bikes and then see them on the World Championship stage was pretty cool. So down the road soon, I hope that maybe we'll be able to do some bikes of our own that get painted. It's kind of funny because the custom paint thing, most companies, they're not big fans of that because it's so far normally from what you can get from the factory. So they don't want a bunch of crazy paint unless you're going to the World Champs. It's a little bit different. So yeah, they can do that. Hopefully everybody found a way to switch over. Again, I got to figure that out. It's such a bummer. I thought I had it dialed and there was a bunch of people there waiting. So hopefully they saw that we started a new one. And I know some people were talking about the Delanos. So if you made a comment over in the original one, drop that over here. And I'd love to talk about that bike and anything else for that matter. I had a blast yesterday hanging out, talking, answering questions. We talked a lot about the spur, downcountry, and kind of segued into some other things. So I figured here, just open, just whatever anybody wants to talk about. I'm down. I'm a pretty open book. So for the most part, as long as you're not getting too personal, I'll answer it. I have no problem. I'll keep looking over here. So when people ask questions like, Miguel, what's the most effective way to set sag on a fork? 1 PSI per kg of body weight. I don't know. Generally, it's percentages, like 25 to 30%. And I think that's a good way to do it. For the fork, I've always been a fan of running air pressure and going off what the manufacturer recommends for air pressure and starting there and then kind of seeing how it works. And then the actual percentage is kind of a byproduct. So what's cool about the RockShox stuff is they have the indicators on the stanchion so you can get a feel for it. So I would say play around with it and see. You can actually run 1 PSI per kilo of body weight and see what that comes to. Like try it and see. It may work for you or it may not. And then you can make some adjustments. So sag, I think it's going to depend a little bit on what your preferences are, how heavy you are, how you ride, what type of terrain you're riding. and then what type of fork you have. So there's a lot to that. And that's one of the topics that I'm going to get Rob on, and we'll talk about a few different times, because he's an expert in suspension. And so he has a lot of great things to say. And furthermore, we did a video on suspension setup with our Levo SLs, and I'm hoping to post that here midweek. And Miguel, you're going to dig that. That's going to be a good one, because he's got a lot of cool insight. So Jason, I'm going to tell you more about the Delano. Hang on tight though. Thoughts on the Ripley compared to the Spur for a playful short travel all-arounder in the Midwest? Well, I would love to give you my thoughts on the Ripley, but I have yet to ride the Ripley. So that's one that I'm trying to get my hands on. By all accounts, it's a great bike. You know, I've talked to a lot of people who've ridden the Ripley and they really like it. I think the Ripley might be a little bit more cross-country kind of skewed, but I don't know. I think it's probably a pretty good bike. So curious, if I only have one bike, the Sentinel or the Spur, which you go with? You know, that's a tough one, actually. I've pedaled a Sentinel around and I dig it. I think it's a pretty cool bike. I actually asked them if they had a media bike that they could send me so I could ride. You know, Daniel, it's a tough call, man. I think it depends on where you're at. So for me, here, the Spur would make more sense, but given I travel a lot to ride different places, I think overall the Sentinel, I don't know, it might be a better choice. That's such a hard one. It really is. And we could have this conversation so many different times and so many different ways about different kinds of bikes. And now it's even more unique because it's hard to get bikes. You know, if it was a normal time where you could get whatever you want, then it's even harder. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a very difficult one. Z-Pack, cheers from OKC. I hope you guys aren't getting hammered with snow. Do I ever hop on an indoor trainer for weeks like this? No, I do not. I have a really awesome trainer. I bought a Wahoo kicker when I had my grade 5 shoulder separation and had to have a complete reconstruction. Never used it, not once. My wife's on it right now, actually. I'm not a fan, and I'm at a place in my life where I don't need to be on a trainer. You know, for some people, they want to do it. I have a Concept 2 rower and an assault bike in my garage. I'd rather go jump on those. I can't deal with it. Spur is an only bike to take trips and train Marathon XC. You know, it's funny, Mitchell. I think yes, I would do it. And what would be cool is you could run a wheel set for Marathon XC and probably go a little bit longer stem. And I think you'd be money. So yeah, that's my take on it. Any experience with the new 38? No, I do not have any experience with the new 38. My brother does, and he digs it. Now, 36 versus Lyric, in my experience, I'm going to go Lyric all day long just because I like the way they work. But Fox 38 is legit, but I just had a delivery last night of a Zeb. So I'm going to put the Zeb on the SL, and I'm going to do a super deluxe coil in the rear. So I'll talk about that. Chris, Caleb and I are going to do a frame-up build on a Delano. Wow, I didn't know you guys were getting down with the Delano. What would I change on the Delano? I'm going to change a few things on the one I have. I have a Pro build, and it's got X01. The wheels are legit. I'm going to do some more with the Fox 36 and the Super Deluxe, or the Fox 36 and the DPX2. Rob did the long stroke on his, and he's got that Super Deluxe in the rear. I like it. I like it a lot. So I might see if I can get my hands on the Super Deluxe rear in a 142 mil, so a long stroke, and then do probably a Lyric up front. So do the 142 rear and then do a 160 Lyric up front. That's what I'm thinking I might do on that, just to play around with it and see. But other than that, it's got the Envy wheels, the Envy bars. The thing is legit. So yeah, I'd run it like that. And Rob really seems to like it. So at some point, we'll get him on and talk a little bit more about his experience with the bike. He was very open about comparing it to the Switchblade, which is an incredible bike. And so I don't want to say I was concerned about whether he would like it or not. I was just interested. and he happens to like it a lot. So yeah. Dan, jumping tabletops always land in real world first. I think part of that might be not keeping your heels down, drive your heels through, and stay centered over the bike. Try to do what you can to orient the front down. I think it'll work. Brian got to the point where he thinks the 5.5 is too much bike for around here. It's interesting, Brian. I rode that bike a lot in a lot of different places, and I really liked it. Could you argue it's too much? Probably for where you're at. But again, I don't know. I'd play around a little bit with different tire choices and just kind of see what that thinks or what that does to you. Somebody's talking about riding today. Joey rode 2 miles just to say I did it. There you go, man. It better be on Instagram. Good on you, because I am not riding. Yeah, Colin, a lot of trips planned, New Mexico and Colorado. We're going to try to get to a few bike parks. There's a lot. I have this book. I wish I had it here. One of those calendar planners. And then I have a big desktop calendar planner as well. And it's just covered in things that are all in pencil. And they're all in pencil because I just don't know what's going to happen. And we're going to get somewhere. So believe it or not, I can't believe I'm going to admit this, Colin, and I know you're going to be disappointed, man. I've never been to Angel Fire. So I have to fix that, and I have to get to Angel Fire. So I want to get to Angel Fire this year. Our plan is to try to go to Colorado for a month, and we're eyeing up July or August for that. So last year we went and we stayed at Breck, and the place we stayed at had this deal where if you book 30 days, it's $50 a night. So we're going to see if we can do that. If we do that, we'll probably do 2 clinics in and around the Denver area and try to visit a few bike parks. I want to try to get to Purgatory as well. So we're going to go east. So we're going to go hit at some point Cayuga and Winrock. So I'm really fired up to get out there. But yeah, I want to hit as many as I can. So bike parks definitely on the list. Danny asking about a downhill bike. Dude, I haven't ridden a downhill bike in a long time. And I just think unless you're going to some gnarly downhill courses, I don't think you need one too. What do we got? The Epic Evo in the Brain. Never used it. I don't have really any input on it. I wish I did. Any tips on cockpit setup? Yes. How do you know what feels good? Robert, that's another one that Rob and I have talked about. For me, cockpit setup, I guess it's pretty unique. I prefer to have the stem slammed a little bit more. So generally, I throw the spacers on top, and sometimes I'll even point the stem down if it has a rise. And part of that is because I want my weight forward enough on the bike to be able to steer it. So that's kind of a fine balance, I think. But the other piece for me is I roll the handlebars forward. I don't like back sweep. So Rob and I both roll the bars way forward. It just feels better, and I think it helps get my arms in a better position so my elbows are up. So I would work on that, like roll. And this is for everybody out there. Roll your bars forward and just see what it does. See if it helps get your elbows in a better position. The other one too is a lot of people went to really short stems, and that's great if it works. But the problem I found is when the stem gets too short, sometimes, especially with a bike that's very slack, you don't have enough weight over the front of the bike to get it to turn. So definitely think about that. And at some point, Rob and I are going to do a video and a live just on bike setup, because I think it's a very valuable thing. It's a very important topic. Specialized. What do you think about the Zeb? Frederick, I haven't ridden the Zeb yet, but I've heard great things about it. And I really like RockShox stuff. I love it. Out of the box, it seems great. There's way less adjustment, which I'm okay with because I don't really want to do a bunch of it. So let me know. I think the Status is a pretty cool bike. And yeah, let me know what you think. Steven, great beginner trail in Oz. Oh man, for 8-year-olds. There's a lot of great trails. Leopards is a good one. All American is a good one. Man, you can't go wrong. Hang on 1 second. Stop right now. Oh, Dex. Nothing like being snowed in with a 5-year-old. What else here, Danny? If you've ever ridden downhill, rent a DH bike. That's a great one, Colin. Yeah, read it before. MS calendars can be shared. John, I can't share it, dude, because I don't even know if it's right. That's the problem. What else do we got? Remember you mentioned having a moto background. How much of that do you believe can directly transfer over? A ton. Yeah, Miguel, a lot of it. And a lot of it's mental. I started racing moto when I was 9, and I grew up in Southern California. And if you're into moto, man, the first big series that my brother raced was the Golden State Nationals in 1988, and it was awesome. It was such a cool experience, and it was crazy because nobody cared about the pro class then. They cared about the intermediate class, and the intermediate class then had some guys, you probably won't know their names, Jeff Emick, Ryan Hughes, a guy named Jeremy McGrath, and I think he was like 14 at the time. So it was really cool to see all those people. And yeah, riding moto, I think it's really translated a lot over into how I ride the mountain bike. And I think that comes across in my riding style. And it's finding ways to kind of bring some of that technique in as much as you can. And turning is one thing. Like turning a dirt bike, I spent a lot of time trying to learn that. And, you obviously have a lot more traction and you have a lot more weight. But when you can try to use a similar technique, but understand that the weight is a lot less, you go from weighing much more than what you're on, and it's vice versa when you're on a dirt bike. I think if you understand that, you can apply the technique pretty well. But I think the combination of a BMX background at an early age and an extensive BMX background along with moto, that's a tough one to beat. Like, for my son, I'd really love him to race BMX, and I really don't want him to get into moto. It's super expensive and it's kind of dangerous, but that kind of leads into the last question. No, I'm not active on a dirt bike. It's hard. When I go back to Phoenix, I've ridden a couple times, but the problem for me is mentally where I used to ride, I'm just not there physically. And I think it's just a recipe to get hurt. So yeah. Phoenix Easy Rider, Intense Primer or Yeti SB130? I've never ridden a primer. I've only ridden the SB130 and it was very little. And I liked it, but yeah, I wish I had a little bit more time on those. Yep. KC weather, I'm sure it's rough. Will you or Rob be at TRS Clinic in Phoenix on 7th of March? Both of us, Mark, both of us. So it's funny, will you and I, in 2021 and probably 22, there will not be a Ride Series clinic without Rob or I there. And I just did a podcast with a really cool dude the other day, and that's one thing we talked about. Scaling the Ride Series is going to be the most difficult thing in the world. And it comes back to this, all 65 people watching. Right now, the Ride Series is this and this. Rob and I, everything we talk about, we have direct experience in. And to bring somebody else in, that's going to get diluted unless I get somebody that has my experience on the bike, which is, I think, pretty difficult, generally speaking. But then at the same time, I need somebody that has my diverse background in speaking to people at multiple levels. And so those are things that I think is the biggest element with the Ride Series and why it's so effective is Rob and I, we have a vast, vast history on two wheels, almost 80 years of experience on two wheels. But we have the ability to convey what we've learned in those 80 years. And those are things that it's important. People they don't understand that. And it's an interesting thing, and it's hard for this not to come off bad. But, if somebody's out there as a mountain bike coach and they've been riding a mountain bike for 2 years, you can only have so much experience in 2 years. And I'm not saying that you can't offer valuable information to somebody. You probably can. But in my experience, most people who were in that position coaching, they don't say, oh, wait a minute, I can only coach this certain group of people because I only have so much experience. So yeah, to answer your question again, yes, Rob and I will both be at that clinic on the 6th, 7th of March, I think, that weekend. And Rob will probably be at quite a few more. So yeah, you'll only see so many people coaching right now. And I think it's going to stay that way for a while. What do we say, Jeff? Does Winrock compare with parks in the Rockies? I don't know. I don't know. That's a great question. And as far as being an expert level rider, I don't think you have to. I mean, I think you can go there and ride it at a more like beginner plus intermediate level. But from what I've heard, I think it's a little bit more advanced or a little less beginner friendly than some of the other parks. Like if you're a newer rider and you want to hit a park, Winter Park is awesome. I really like Winter Park. I have a great experience there. I've heard Angel Fire is another great one to go to. So yeah, I think one of those are a good place to start. What's my current pedal shoe combo? You know, what's funny is, again, I need to do a video of this, at least post a picture. I have so many pairs of shoes, and the pedal combo, I really like the HTT1. So that's their trail shoe. I also have the X2, which is a wider platform. So kind of like a downhill, but it's pretty thin. It's pretty low profile. So I'm digging that one. As far as shoes go, I'm getting ripped apart right now because the last couple videos we've done have those super bright red. They call them Ronald McDonald shoes. They're super brights. They're specialized 2FOs. So I have actually, they sent a decent amount of those. So I've been rocking those 2FOs. I dig them. I like them a lot. I also like the Shimano ME6. Rob got a pair of those that didn't fit him. And so I inherited those, and those things are legit. The Giro Chamber 2 is another great one. As is Giant. Actually, Giant makes some pretty cool shoes too. So yeah, I think that's the majority of what I have right now. And we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that. So what else do we got going on here? Man, I'm trying to scroll down here and make sure, looking at a pivot bike, which one would be better suited for Colorado? You know, I think it's hard to go wrong with the Switchblade. Switchblade is a pretty incredible bike and a pretty diverse bike. But that being said, depending on what you're riding in Colorado, the Trail 429 Enduro build might also be another one. So some good options. Z-Pack. Been to Bentonville a few times. Slaughter, Penn, Kohler, Bella Vista. Is Lake Leatherwood worth a little extra drive? So this is great. And I think Collins he can probably chime in on this. Oh, he did. There you go. And we're going to disagree here. Leatherwood's cool, but if I had one day, I would ride Passion Play. I wouldn't ride Lake Leatherwood. That's just me. I really like the stuff at Passion Play. Jagged Axe Design. They did some killer trails there, and they're just fun. And one of my favorite trails in the world is one called Good Samaritan. Just a blue trail, just a mellow trail, but the way they laid it out is legit. And I like stuff like that you can get super creative on. Leatherwood, to me, it's awkward, and I don't have a whole lot of fun there. So I would say hit Passion Play. Any thoughts on the relationship between stem length and fork offset, especially for slack head angles? Oh, Robert, that's a good question. You know, I'm not going to venture out on that one, but I'll make a note of it. And actually, yeah, I'll make a note of it. Keep that one in your head, and let's circle back around to that, because I'm going to have Rob come on, and that's something that he'll talk about. I won't go too deep into answering questions that I'm just not equipped to answer. So when you bring in fork offset and how that plays into the game, I don't want to go too deep into that one. So yeah, any helmet advice? T-Fish, where did that go? Where are you at? Helmet advice. Not looking for full shape, but desired cover. You know, that's another one. I was wearing the Cali helmets for a long time, and they were pretty good. The Maya 2.0 was pretty legit. I've been wearing Specialized new helmet with that Angie sensor on the back, and I really like that helmet. It seems like it's got some good coverage down low. Rob has the new Giro helmet, and that new Giro is awesome. It's like the two-piece one that moves around. Fly 7 IDP. I like their helmets a lot too. So yeah, I wish I had more, and that's something that I'm going to try to get more experience with, try to get a few different helmets. I got some full faces, and so we're going to wear some different full faces and kind of report back on those. But yeah, if anybody else who's on here has some input on helmets, yeah, let me know. I'd love it. Chris, chasing your KOMs for the Enduro they had at Tyler State Park. Man, that was a long time ago. How do you overcome fear of new features that you can do, but you're hesitant with? Chris, that's a tough one. That's kind of like the age-old question. I think you try to put yourself in a position to step out a little bit outside your comfort zone, but know that if it goes wrong, you kind of have some control over the outcome, if that makes sense. Like, you're going to bump it up a little bit as far as a percentage goes, but don't go from like a 6 right into a 10 and try to rip it. So take your time. That's what I come back to is, I'm all down for making progress, but at the same time, if something's really telling you no, maybe it's time to listen and just wait for another day. I'm a fan of that. And it's treated me well. I've been in situations, especially with Rob at South Mountain. There's been a couple where if it's right and I know I can do it, I'll do it. But there have been a few where I just look at it and something's telling me, no, that ain't right. And I just don't do it. So it's all right. You get to ride again. So, okay. What else do we got? 80. I don't look a day over 75. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. If you've only been riding for 2 years, you should go to a clinic yourself. I don't know, Colin. There's some people out there, you can't say that to them. They're not gonna take it. What else? Shrednar, love your jumping vids. Thank you. We're gonna make some more. I'm gonna try to get Rob involved with a few more of the jumping vids and make some more. And it's funny, we got the Panther Black Audi RS all the way from Canada. A POV tabletop video. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. The problem is everything happens so fast, but we've been having this conversation because finding a way to really break it down and use a lot of slow-mo and I think be repetitive is what we need to do. And I went out and I did a session with some young riders, and I posted it on my Instagram, and I have it up here, and I'll post it on YouTube soon. But they're young kids. They were 9 and 12. They've only been riding for a year, and the progress they made in 3 hours was just incredible. And it's because they just innately get it. They're younger, so their brain's not telling them no like it does for most people who are a little bit older. And as I was doing it, I realized what I'm saying to them, the things that I'm saying to them aren't very different to what I say to adults. You got to soften the edges a little bit and simplify it, but it's all pretty much the same. And I think it's a matter of trying to say it a few different ways and trying to explain it and show it a few different ways and hope that it resonates with somebody. So if John, Colin, and Brian are watching one particular video and we can break it down 3 different ways or 3 different angles or 3 different analogies, and that's part of why I want Rob to be there. I think it's really good when Rob's there because we can kind of bounce back and forth, and I'll say something that sparks something in his mind and vice versa. So I think if we can do that, maybe we can say something that will spark that in your head to go, okay, wait a minute, that makes a whole lot of sense. And thankfully, MTB Hopper, they're going to partner up with us again. So we're going to get to make a couple more videos. So maybe shoot Hopper a message and give them a thumbs up because they're going to produce a couple more jump videos. and hopefully we'll be able to provide even more insight. And I think it'll be good to be able to use the hopper takeoffs and the land waves in that setting to have it make sense a little bit more, hopefully. Okay, what else do we got? Bell 40. I've heard that Bell's pretty good. You got the new Specialized, the Bell Super Air. Any free overnight camping? Oh yeah, the Panther Black Audi RS5 with the $5 super chat. Thanks, dude. I keep forgetting about this. It's so funny. Every time these pop up, I'm like, oh, dude, I forgot about that. Just made $5 to be talking. I dig that. Free overnight camping in Bentonville. I don't know. I don't really know. I know not free, but Bella Vista, Blowing Springs is a good one. Kohler's a new one that's pretty rad, but I don't think it's free. I don't think it's very expensive. And like Colin says, their bathrooms are next level. So yeah, what else? Sarah, Dex wanted to know if you're off the live. Sarah Drew, please tell Dex I'm not. And I would appreciate it if he doesn't come bang on the door. Yeah, it's been tough for him. He's a high energy dude, and when he's trapped inside, it's difficult. So yeah, we're making the best though. We built some Legos this morning, and I think he's coming. Here he comes. Oh, come here, buddy. Come here. You want to say hi? So yeah, he's ready, everybody. So check it out. He's got his helmet. So you guys were asking helmets earlier. The Cali helmet's pretty good, and then you got your police uniform on. All right. How's your banana?
Good.
Okay. Do you want to say hi to everybody? You don't have to yell.
Hi, guys.
You say, Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Tony says hi. Can you tell everybody what sort of bike do you ride? What brand of bike do you ride?
What brand of bike do you ride?
No, I'm asking you that. You know. Tell them what you ride. What kind of bike is it?
What?
What does your bike start? You know what your bike is? It's a Provello.
No, don't help me.
Oh, okay. What kind of bike do you have, Dex?
Buddy Peg's Grom Cross Provello.
Nice. Oh, all right, bud. I'm going to let you go back out with Mom, okay? Can you tell everybody, peace out, dumpers?
Peace out, dumpers.
All right.
I want some blue cheese.
Okay. Go ask Mom. She'll get you some. Oh, yeah. There you go. Little shredder boy. He keeps asking for his own YouTube channel. So I'm trying to push it off a little bit longer because I'm not ready for that yet. But yeah, he loves it. He likes being in that spotlight. So I'm excited this year to get them involved a little bit more. Sarah is coming into the mix, which is really cool. It's exciting for me. And I think I've talked about it a little bit, but until we moved here, Sarah wasn't riding. And even when we moved here, she still wasn't riding. But then when Women of Oz kind of grew and blossomed, she became a part of that. And it's just been a game changer for her. She's really invested in that group. It's brought her some of the most amazing friends, and it's allowed us to have a lot of really cool times riding bikes. And this year, what's going to happen is Fazari is going to produce a series, the Couples Ride series. So we already did one in Phoenix. We were supposed to do one this weekend at Spider Mountain, but it got iced over. So we're going to go to a few different places and film videos that kind of highlight the experience of her and I riding. And hopefully that'll help other couples come together and ride a little bit more. But also we'll try to provide some insight to those places we go to. And yeah, Robert, scared that he'll upstage and steal my views 100%. Like, I'm not even going to try to fight it. What I'll try to do is kind of move him in on stage, and I can kind of back out and be his manager and see how big we can get him. So John Davis, the $5 super chat. Thanks, dude. Appreciate that. And am I ever going to get on a flat bike? Yeah, actually, I will get on a fat bike at some point. It was funny. I was talking to the people from Fazari, and they were talking about it. They're from Utah, and they go out and ride fat bikes a lot. So we'll probably do that soon. Broad 72, $4.99. Thank you. Appreciate that. One thing I don't see about MTB hopper ramps is the placement. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, in that next video, we'll talk a little bit about that. And that's one of the things that I really like about those ramps and using them in the ride series is we have the ability to slowly move them back to get you more comfortable. So again, it comes back to the question asked earlier of how do you hit something that you're pretty confident you can hit, but you're not quite sure? And a lot of times this comes to gap jumps. So a tabletop, you can come up short and there's not that big of an issue if that happens. But if it's a gap, you come up short, it could be bad. And again, that's the beauty of the land waves and the hoppers is we can build that downside case pad, on the front, and I can slowly move them back. Mark with a $10 super chat. Yes, I love it, dude. Thank you. This is cool. I got to tell Dex he needs to come in a little bit more. And maybe we'll bump those up. He'll be like, all right, yeah, Dad, you can buy me a new helmet or something like that. So yeah, the hoppers, it's just, it's an interesting thing because when we do the ride series clinics, especially when we do the jump sessions, sometimes people's heads are their biggest enemies and they get thinking about it. And it's funny because somebody's bound to go to a ride series here and you'll see this, but generally what I do is when people aren't looking, I slide it back a little bit. So when Rob and I are there, we have this little thing that we do. I'll kind of give him a look and he'll know when. And so he'll kind of get everybody's attention and then I'll slide the ramp back. And before people know it, I've moved the ramp back multiple feet. And then all of a sudden they go, wow, wait a minute, what happened? I didn't realize that. So it's pretty cool because before people know what's going on, they're jumping 5, 6, 10 feet further than they thought. And again, it's the beauty of the environment. When you're doing the reps over and over and over again, you're getting more comfortable. And all you're doing is one of a couple things. Either you're bringing in a little bit more speed or you're being a little bit more dynamic with how you load into the ramp and open up. And so what we try to do in those situations is get you to come in slower. And if you come in a little bit slower, but you're more aggressive with how you're opening up, then you can get more lift and therefore get more distance. So Martin, the MTB hopper for manuals, it's the best one I've tried. I have one in my garage and it allows you to lean side to side. So I actually think that's a pretty good one. Yeah, Derek, dude, shirts soon, very soon, I promise. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have them. We're going to get some more done. So it's coming soon, definitely. Chris is asking tires, thoughts on other brands. Maxxis, Connie, Specialized. It's funny, Chris. The only experience I have mostly are Maxxis and Specialized. Kickstarter for Dex. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that, man. I'll let Dex know. And I'd love to have you come to a ride series class one day. Where are you at, Robert? Where are you located? Because we might be able to get one out there. Hopefully get one out there. Same thing, Damon. Green space at a park is awesome. Damon's asking, what do we need? Just a big open grass field at a park is generally where we like to do it. So yeah, Northern Virginia, there's some great stuff up there. We'd love to come up that way at some point. So yeah, Chris, tires. Maxxis, the majority of my time has been spent on Maxxis tires. The DHF, a Minion DHF in an EXO compound is my go-to front rear. I love them. 2.5 and Cushcore is the setup. I ran that all 2019 BME and it was amazing. But now, since I've gotten all these Specialized bikes, they sent a box of like 30 tires and I've been using those and I'm impressed. Like the Butcher grid up front, and then I think it's like a ground control grid, or oh man, I'm drawing a blank right now. They come spec'd on the e-bikes and they're legit. So I like those quite a bit. I've heard good things about the WTBs and the Connies, but again, that's another one, Chris, that I'm trying to get tires to ride, different tires to ride, but now it's really difficult. So hopefully soon. Steven, MTB terms for beginners. I don't have one, but that's a great idea. Yeah, that'd be a fun one, actually, because some of the terms are funny and it's crazy because we take for granted that people they know what these things are. So yeah, it's funny. I think we can do that. Derek, Chattanooga, dude, we're looking to do one at Canuga. So it's not going to be that much of a drive for you to get to Canuga, but hopefully sometime around late May or early June. So everybody who's watching, our hope is to get to Canuga and do one there. I've been emailing back and forth with them. So I'm really trying to make that happen because I want to get out to that area and do something. Yeah, Ray's, dude. Ray's Indoor Bike Park looks rad. It would be awesome to come there at some point. So it's funny. My buddy Kyle Warner is actually out there. I think he's been out there for a few days riding. So yeah, it's a place I've never been to that I would really like to go to. There's a lot of places like the East Coast. I'm trying to think. East of Bentonville, Arkansas. I've never ridden a mountain bike east of Bentonville, Arkansas. So I need to get that way and ride some stuff. The guys, the crew at I-9 has been saying for years that I need to get out to that area to Asheville and ride there. Toronto, I don't know, Al, you got good riding in Toronto? I have no idea. I'd love to do a big Canada tour. That would be awesome to go through. We're talking about now trying to actually talking about moving out of the transit van and into a Class C motorhome. And if we do that, we can expand the scope a little bit more of where we go with the ride series. So I'm not ruling that out, trying to put together a little package for that. And if I can, it would be cool to go see some more of those places. It's hard to do in the van because we got to travel and I got to pull the trailer, and we can't stay in that thing. If we have a motorhome, it'll be a little bit easier. Opportunities in BC and Alberta. Yeah, I got to do it at some point, but that's after you guys come down here. So at some point when the travel restrictions are lifted and the weather is better, you guys will get down here. And then I'll come back up there. We'll do like an exchange program or something like that. But yeah, I'm excited that, at some point in 21, and it might take till 22, but we're going to make it happen. I think as bad as anybody I want that instant gratification. I want to be back out there now. I want to be doing things now, but I think we have to just be patient and it'll come. Right now it's a great test with this weather as it is, but it allows us to just be, I think, a little bit flexible. You got to do what you can with what you have, with where you are. It's funny. I played football in high school and I was decent, but our head coach was a guard. So if you don't know much about football, he played on the offensive line. So there's the center who hikes the ball and the guards are on either side. And his name was Gary Venturo, and he was an amazing human being. And he was an all-American guard at Arizona State under a legendary coach named Frank Cush, which that's impressive that he was an all-American guard. But the fact that he weighed 190 pounds made it even more incredible. He was just that good. His technique was that good. And I remember the day he said to me, "Hey, I want you to play this position." And I was like, "No, dude, I'm a linebacker and a fullback." And so I became a guard and I just loved it. Something about it. You had to be scrappy and you had to be really good with technique, especially for me. I was 175 pounds. And I remember we ran a fairly by assignment and I just kind of stood there because I didn't know what to do. And Coach Venturo, he'd had a stroke. And so one side of his face basically was paralyzed. And I remember him just screaming at me, "Drew, God damn it, hit somebody." And that never left. Like that, what he said has resonated with me to this day. Hit somebody. Now, you got to take it in context. This is on the football field. Don't stand there. If you miss your assignment, block somebody else. And I've always tried to think about that in times where I wasn't sure what to do, or if I didn't have any direction, do something. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. Like the shirts, we're going to get to the shirts because we need to do that. There's just a lot going on. So yeah, all these places, like somebody said, Broad 72, be ready if you make it anywhere near Maryland, Virginia, UF 15-ish. Do me a favor, send an email, info@therideseriesmtb.com. That's going to go to Sarah, who's probably still watching this, who says she's in for Canada. But if you shoot me a message and we start some dialogue, if you can get 15 to 20 people, we can maybe make that happen. So yeah, I'm definitely down to do it. What's this? Go Global. Have you ever considered doing guest spots for Gmbn? You know what's funny is, of course, yeah, like of course it would be awesome to do something, but I don't know exactly how that works. You know, the whole collab thing. I'm trying to do a little bit more of it, but again, it's interesting. Now, that being said, the Bentonville Bike Fest is coming here in the middle of June, and apparently Gmbn is coming over. So I'm gonna see if I can possibly do something with them. It'd be kind of cool, but again, I don't know how that works. Like, who am I to ask them to do something? It's an interesting thing. It's like they're a big deal, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm on par with what they're doing. And again, if it makes sense and they're down for it, I'd love to do it. But at the same time, that's a tough one, because if it's looked at like, oh, I just want to do that to get on their platform to try to get some more viewers, I don't want it to seem like that. Yeah, it would be rad. Like, it would be awesome if I did that and boom, I had 100,000 subscribers. That'd be cool. But again, I don't think it exactly works like that. So I don't know. We'll see. It'd be cool. Larry David. It's so hard not to see that and not laugh. I got a lot of different gloves. Zoic ether print gloves I wear a lot. So the loud ones, especially the cheetah ones, those are the ether prints. But I have some new ones called Trail Monos that are pretty good. But I also really like Specialized gloves. So those are legit. So you can try some of those. For me, you know, I generally like to size down in gloves. I like gloves super tight, but the problem with it is they don't last very long. They start to rip. So I go through a lot of different gloves. So just be prepared for that. Diesel Derek just ordered some Ionine Hydras. You better be excited, because those things are legit. You're going to dig it, but it's a game changer. You're never going back. Damon, yeah, I've ridden Northwoods, Cedar Glades. Love it. Actually thinking about doing a couples ride series ride there. I go spend the weekend in Hot Springs and ride that area. So yeah, it's fun. I dig it. What else do we got? Just took a job in Bentonville. Yes. You know, the ransom. Do you need to add a third bike? You're going to make me say, yes, you need to add a third bike. You don't need to add a third bike, but you certainly could. You know, the ransom, you could argue, is a little much, but I'd ride a ransom here. My buddy Jason Blodgett came out and he's got a ransom. He ran it all over. Loves it. Thomas, what'd you say? Weird seeing Rob on a Specialized. I know it's weird, and to say it sucks, almost never get a backstory on brand changes. You know, I am not at liberty to say what his rationale for changing brands was, but this whole thing is really interesting. So a lot of sports, what happens is very public knowledge. The bike industry is very different. So there are numbers thrown around about what people get paid. People who ride bikes in this country especially don't get paid a lot of money. And that's just what it boils down to. And certain companies, they really don't need to. It's a matter of, do they want to? And now is even more interesting, because most bike companies, as far as marketing, they could argue they don't need to do anything. Bikes are selling themselves right now. So I'll give you my take on it, Thomas. For me, being a factory pivot rider was amazing. I mean, literally a dream come true to say you are a factory rider. Now, it comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Was I riding at the highest levels? No, I wasn't. And that wasn't the reason that I was a factory pivot rider. There's Ed Masters, there's Bernard Kerr. Those guys are at a certain level, and those guys are paid to represent the brand and be on podiums. We were there to represent in a different way and do it how we could. And it was awesome. But what it comes back to is, does it align? Like what Pivot needs and what Pivot's doing as a brand, does it align? And for me, what I got from being a factory pivot rider was great. But what I realized was, if I did what I'm doing now, if I rode Specialized, if I rode the Spur, if I rode all these different bikes, I could then help people and give them some insight on different bikes. It may not help everybody, but if it helps you, if what I say or what I show helps you make a better purchasing decision, awesome. But I couldn't do that as a factory rider because I couldn't be on any other bikes. So for me, that's why I didn't re-sign and decided to do what I'm doing now. As far as what's happening now, I mean, I have a lot of Specialized. That's not a coincidence. You see me on the Fazari a lot. That's not a coincidence. I'm doing something. I'm trying to make videos. I'm trying to make content that can help people in a lot of different ways. In order to do that, I need bikes. I got to have bikes. But at the same time, the videos cost money. So if a company says, hey man, we want to help, we want to be part of that, you're not going to be locked down to Specialized, dude. Just keep doing what you're doing. Here's some bikes to ride. Let's help you make some videos. And that's what it comes down to. This is a new thing. This is a whole new paradigm right now with what's happening. And all I want to do is keep doing what I'm doing. And hopefully now you've seen, by having Rob a part of it, it's even better. Like, I'm okay admitting I'm better looking. Okay. This right here, much better to look at. But Rob, the dude is a wealth of information. It's incredible what he has up here. So to have him on board to help me do these things and make these videos is awesome. And so you're going to see him on as many bikes as I can get him on this year. So I hope that kind of gave you some insight. Navigating it is difficult, especially for me. Like, there's companies out there that have asked to do different things with me, and I have to be careful about what I do and who I do it with, because I don't want it to come off fabricated, contrived, or anything like that. I mean, I want to do what I want to do. I feel like I have a voice. I want to use my voice. I want to do bigger things with it. To be able to go live on YouTube on a Sunday evening and have 76 people hang out to listen, that's rad. Like, that's awesome. That makes me feel really good. But at the same time, there's a responsibility there, I think. And I have a lot of respect for that responsibility. Dex, I want him to be proud of what's happening with all of this. When we're out somewhere and we meet somebody, if I run across anybody, Thomas, if I run across you somewhere on the trail and Dex is with me, and for you to, give me a fist bump and say, hey man, the stuff you're making, that's cool. I really dig it. That fills me with pride for him to see that. And I just want to keep that going. So hopefully that didn't get off into the weeds, man, and it made some sense. So, where are we at here? I'm trying to pick up on where I'm going at. Do you get much support from the state level? Great question. Actually, we're getting there now. It's a very interesting thing to navigate, and it's just, there's so much going on. The state, the tourism, they have a lot to deal with. So I'm trying to do everything I can to help support that. And I think we're getting some good things rolling. So hopefully this year we can keep doing the Oz Trails overviews and kind of grow the scope of that a little bit more. I'd love to do that. That would be awesome. And I'd like to take it wider. Like, I love what's happening here, and I really appreciate my role as an ambassador here, but I'd like to go other places. I'd like to do similar things. I'd love to go to different places. Like Bruce is talking about the DTE Energy Foundation Trail in Michigan. I would love, there's so many things happening in Michigan, in the UP, in Wisconsin, in Minnesota. I would love to go there and make some videos. And that's the thing about this. The more this platform grows, the more I want to try to go to places like that and help play my role in exposing those places. Because somebody said something here. All right, Big Wes, you're an awesome rider, better than a lot of these other YouTube riders. Thank you, Wes. And that's part of why I'm doing this. I want it to be real. And the bike review thing is a prime example, Wes. Part of why I started doing bike reviews is I watched some of them. And again, I'm just being honest here. This is going to come off not the best, but I'll deal with it. When I listened to some of the things that some of these people were saying and then watch them ride, it didn't equate. What I came back to was, how can you say these things when you're not riding fast enough or dynamic enough to experience these things? And I think that's important. People talking about, suspension and this and that, and they're just empirically not good riders. And so I think that's an important thing. And that plays into the ride series as well. Like Wes, I'm okay saying I am a pretty good rider. Okay. I would probably venture to say the 90th percentile of riders. There's a lot of people that are way better bike riders than me. And I know that, and I appreciate that. And I love riding with those people. Any chance I have to ride with somebody who's a better rider, like when I go to Phoenix and I get a chance to ride with Rob and see him do all the things he does, I love that, because hopefully that'll make me a better rider. But I also understand that my ability to ride a bike is part of what will draw you in. That'll catch you. Like if I post a video and I'm just ripping through some trails on a bike, you're hooked. You go, okay, there's no question this dude can ride a bike really well. Now, can he convey how he can ride the bike like that? And is that particular bike, what elements of that bike lead to that riding? So yeah, I think that's an important thing. And there's a lot of really cool people on YouTube, and my only thing is be real with who you are. And for me, that's important. Like I know where I'm at. We were at the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival, and I did a game of bike with Joey Foresta and Kyle Warner. I knew exactly what the outcome of that was going to be going in, but I thought it would make a really cool video because those guys are at a different level. And I wanted everybody to see that. I wanted everybody watching the video to realize, wow, this dude's tangling with Kyle and Joey. Kyle is North American Enduro Tour champion for 3 years running. The guy's one of the most talented people there are on a bike. And then Joey, 18 years old, World Cup experience, amazing. But I had so much fun riding with those guys, pushed me out of my comfort zone a little. But I also think it highlighted what can be done at that level. We're not going to be there. None of us are going to be at their level. And that's okay, because we can all aspire to be at another level. And I think that's what's cool about it. That's what's great about riding a bike is, as long as you never think you're good, you can keep getting better. And so for me, every time I ride my bike, almost every time, I'm looking to get better. Because you can always do it. You'll never master it. I see these people make comments, oh, I think I've mastered this. You haven't mastered anything. I don't know if there's anybody, say from maybe Sam Hill or Richie Rude or some other people that have mastered things on bikes. You're always going to keep working. Trust me. Somebody just said, where is that? Man. DT Energy Foundation. Yeah, Bruce. Okay. Bruce, if you're still on here, I hope you are. Please send me an email, info@therideseriesmtb.com. And anybody who's out there listening, if you think you could put together a group of 20 people or more, if I can make a list of people, I will come. We will load up. Sarah, hopefully she's still on. She's down to travel. Dex is down to travel. We'll make the trip if we can put it together. So, send an email. Anybody out there, send an email, info@therideseriesmtb.com. mtb.com, and we would love to make it happen. Robert Spesh hates a bad rap, but they make good bikes. It's funny, man. Specialized. My dealings with Specialized have been incredible. They really have. I mean, it's been awesome how they've treated me, and it's opened my eyes now to see more of what they do. And as a company, just their marketing, it's rad. I mean, it's just, they're so out there on the cusp of what's cool and exciting, but behind the scenes, they do a lot. They do a lot of good, and they're one of the biggest, and they do a lot. And I appreciate that. Draw parallel to Giant. Giant, by many accounts, is just as big. Giant's not doing, or at least if they're doing it, I don't see it like Specialized is doing it. So, that's another thing. And then Steven, talks about the Fazari video. That's another prime example. And I've said this story. The Sedona Mountain Bike Festival last year, I got on a Fazari, a LaSalle Peak, and I came off the Da Vinci Django. I jumped on this LaSalle Peak with a 35 mil stem, super steep head angle in comparison, and I could not ride that bike. I could not. And I brought it back, and I talked to Tyler, who's their product development lead. Super rad dude. And he asked me, hey man, what'd you think? And I just said, you know what, dude, I could not get used to it. I need some more time. I probably need to put a longer stem on it. And I think I would be able to ride it a little bit better. And he just got this look on his face. And he said, thank you. I appreciate that. That was very honest. And, that's awesome. Hopefully down the road, you can ride it again. And then not too long after that, he reached out and said, hey man, we have this new trail bike. We'd love to let you ride one before it comes out and see what you think. And so we got to talking about the Delano Peak, and he talked about it and described how it compares to the LaSalle. And I just was like, wow, this seems pretty cool. And then I said, hey man, what's the base model? Like, break down the base model. And it was funny because he kind of chuckled and was like, really? Nobody wants the base model. I said, well, what does it have? And he told me it's, SLX and DVO. And I said, how much is that bike? And he said, $3,500. And for a second, I thought, is this an aluminum frame or a carbon frame? And I thought, wow, $3,500 for a carbon bike with DVO and SLX. I said, dude, that's the bike that I would love to ride. And so I went through the whole process. Like, I was purchasing the bike, 32 points. The bike shows up. I put it together in 12 minutes, and I went out and rode it, and I dug it. I just really liked that bike. And I thought, man, this is $3,500. This is just a great bike. And so, long story short, all I tried to do was share my feelings on the bike and my experience with the brand. And I think they're awesome. They're a great brand, and it's one of those things where we've built a pretty solid relationship. And same thing, I'm going to ride their bikes because they're supplying me bikes to ride. And, I threw out some ideas of things I wanted to do, and they said, heck yeah, we want to support those things. So I really appreciate what they're doing. And, for me moving forward, a lot of people ask, have you ridden this bike? Have you ridden that bike? I've ridden and shown you every single bike I have been on. And that's the idea. I can only ride bikes I can get, and I can only borrow bikes from so many people. And I'll certainly do that. Like, if I borrow somebody's bike, I was doing those one ride bike breakdowns, and I'll still do those. But again, when a company like Transition sends me that spur that I still have, and they're like, here you go, bro, ride it, do your thing, that's legit. And if more companies do that, I'll ride more of their bikes and tell everybody how I feel. And if more companies, to an extent, like, we only have so much room, but if more companies say, hey man, we'd love to do some things with you, I'll do them. And that's the beauty of being in the position that I am. I want to make cool videos that are entertaining, that are educational. I'd like to highlight different places. I'd like to do more how-tos. And if more companies want to get on board, I would certainly love for them to do that. But right now, Specialized is one, and Fazari is another. So yeah, again, like I said, I'm a pretty open book. But I would love to get on more bikes. We'd love to do more things, of course. So we will definitely see. Al says, I nominate Rich Drew for World DB Ambassador. Thank you. That's a big role. I don't think I'm ready for that one, but we'll see. yeah, it boils down to it being very private. It is, Thomas, it's private, and it's, I hope that came across well. I got started in racing mountain bikes in this whole game when I was 36 years old. I was relatively old, and I was very comfortable with who I am. I'd been in a professional setting for a long, long time. And when I started racing mountain bikes, I knew where I was going, and there was no question about that. So I did what it took to get there. But at the same time, when I started racing pro cross country, not even pro, when I first started racing cross country, I asked some of the pro riders some questions. They had no time for me, no time. And I remember that. I remember thinking, all I'm doing is asking you a question and you have no time for me. And this is at a local level. It's not like these people were getting paid to race bikes. And that just really hurt. Like, that really rubbed me the wrong way. So I thought, I'm never going to be like that. I always want to try to help people, talk to people as much as I can. And I think that's important. And I think you see a lot more people like that now. A lot of high level riders understand how important it is to try to be as real as they can, try to be as human as they can. But again, when it's your career, like when your paycheck, when your livelihood is based on how you perform, that's a tough one. And I've never been there. I had 1 year, 2016, where I took that mindset, so to speak, and I did really good. I won the Southern Enduro Tour. I swept every race. I think I won every cross-country race I was in, possibly, but it wasn't a whole lot of fun. All I did was think about winning and training and all this stuff. 2017, I did almost as good, and I had way more fun. So, yeah, that's my thing. John, Austrails did Two Rivers Bike Park near Springfield. Heck yeah, I'd love to go out there. I've been to Two Rivers. It's been a long time, but I would love to go back. Yeah. As far as trail overviews, I want to do as many as I can. It's just, there's a lot of money in doing those. And hopefully we can get some funding to try to do a big group of them, because just here, I have a list of probably 20 of them. So yeah, it'll come. One more thing. I get other YouTubers have bashed your way of teaching. Oh, Thomas, that's never going to change, man. It's, that's just life, that's cool. I'm fine with that. No worries. Big Wes, send me an email, man. If you get 20 people, we can do it. info@therideseriesmtb.com. Okay. What else do we got? Contact Gmbn. Dude, try it. Where did that go? Contact Gmbn on Rich's behalf. Try it and see what happens. I don't know. Maybe they'll be like, oh, okay, who is this guy? We'll do something. I can polish up my British accent. It'd be wicked to do a collab with Gmbn. I'll get better on that, I promise. You like the bike? AJ, thank you for saying that. The bikes and the reviews, I really try to make it how I feel riding the bike, what I can do with the bike, what I think the bike's capable of. Yeah, all of the information on the website, you can go to the website and get it. I would rather show what the bike can do and maybe talk about some things. Like the Spur is a prime example. The Spur is an awesome bike, but if you're like a really cross-country type of person and think, oh, it's just 120, it's a very cross-country bike. It's not. It's very much a trail bike. So hopefully I can get that across. Tyler, dude, I knew that question was coming. How often do you get out and just ride? Not as much as I would like. And it's funny because the times that I do, I leave my house and go ride the stuff I want to ride, and it never fails. I run into people that maybe don't know where they're going, because so many people visit here and they're looking and it's obvious they don't know where to go. So I'll stop and try to tell them where to go, and then I'll end up riding with them, which is rad. Like, I love it. Or it's even cooler. Like, somebody will recognize me, like, oh man, I saw your video. And it's cool. Like, as much as I'd go like to ride and train, dude, it's so rad to go ride and have people recognize you and just want to talk about what's happening here. So I love that. I love it. If all of us write to the manufacturers, ask them. Yeah. I don't know if they would. What else do we got here? We're going to have to wrap this up soon because it's an hour and 5 minutes. Keep going. We're the guys that rode by the bird. That's awesome. That's cool. Brittany, I've seen pictures of the new stuff at Irwin. It looked pretty cool in the picture, and I'm excited to get back down there soon and do another ride series clinic at Irwin. So yeah. What else do we got? Coordinate the UP Marquette Copper Harbor. I'd love that, Bruce. Like I really want to get up to Copper Harbor. I just went down to Fayetteville and we checked out the new stuff being down there at Centennial. Rock Solid's building all that. So they're doing a lot of work up there in Copper Harbor. So that's a cool thing. I'd love to. What else do we got here? Man, this keeps going and going. Jumping. What else do we got here? Curious, what are you doing for strength training and supplements? Oh yeah. I'll just touch on that for a minute and we'll wrap this up because I know Mama Bear is out there waiting. We got to eat some dinner. We're going to have a nice Valentine's Day dinner. Strength training and supplementation. Supplement wise, I try to just eat well. Like when I was racing the most, my nutrition was very, very dialed and I didn't do a whole lot of supplementing. As far as strength training goes, I do, I think, a lot more than most mountain bike riders because I come from a strength background. I worked at a gym when I was young and I got into CrossFit and I like being a strong athlete. So like I'll do a lot of deadlift variations, a lot of squat, a lot of single leg stuff. So reverse lunges, elevated split squats, a lot of chins, ring push-ups and stuff like that. Love the kettlebells. So that's something that you're going to start seeing a lot more of. So I'm going to work with D. Tidwell of Enduro MTB Training. So we're actually putting that program together next week to figure out what it's going to look like. So kind of preliminary, you're going to be able to follow along on my journey. Rob will be part of it too. I don't know how much he's going to play a role because he's just very busy. But what I'm going to try to do is bring you through my journey, strength training, keep it very simple and highlight to you how simple it is, how simple and easy if you just take a little bit of time. And supplementation wise, I'll bring that a little bit into. But for me, I always come back to the food, if you're asking about supplements, what you're telling me is your food's dialed. So that's one thing that I tell people. Make sure the food's good. If the food is good, you're going to feel way better. So yeah, a lot of things that we can talk about. And Al, I want to try to do the live thing every week. I wanted to try to do it with Rob as much as we could, but he's pretty busy with work. So we'll get him in as much as possible, but I'm going to do this quite a bit just because it's fairly easy for me to take this time and answer these questions. And I appreciate it. And I like doing it. So we'll do it here and we're probably going to do it on Patreon a little bit more. So some of the strength training stuff we'll take over to Patreon because we're going to be making some videos and trying to set people up with a little bit more info. So yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Tony's already said it. Peace out, dumpers. Have a great Sunday. Stay warm wherever you are and keep your eyes peeled. Got a couple cool videos coming in the next couple of days. One down there from Centennial. So you'll see the new US Cup course down there. Very cool cross-country course. And then I'm pretty excited. I posted a video on Instagram about a couple of young shredders, a 9 and a 12-year-old that I did some training with. So we're going to post that one up here pretty soon. So yeah, I'm excited. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Stay warm, stay positive.